What's good, family? Welcome to another episode of the MySpace Effect, building influence and impact. I'm your host, Herschel Peters. If for those that are your first time joining me, just understand that this is a place where I just deal with leadership, identity, influence, and growth, not from a place of hype and clout, but from lived experiences. And those that have been rocking with me, you know, I took a little much needed break. I think it's going on about 5 weeks now, but all in all, it was pretty good. It was much needed. I'm really glad to be back. You already know what it is. Let's get it.
This is the MySpace Effect, where identity meets influence, depth over distraction, and becoming who you're called to be outweighs chasing attention. Hosted by Herschel M. Peters. Let's get into it.
Most leadership problems don't come from bad intentions. They come from misalignment, incongruency. I like to use the word being out of order, But these are 4 words that people confuse all the time: capacity, ability, accountability, responsibility. See, capacity is what you can carry consistently without breaking. Accountability is what you can execute competently. Responsibility is what you are entrusted with. And in healthy leadership systems, these 4 move together. They're not incongruent. There's no cognitive dissonance with these things. Nothing is competing with one another, and they move collectively together. And in broken systems, they get split apart. It's when they get split apart, people burn out. Resentment grows, and leadership becomes survival instead of stewardship. But this is everywhere. I mean, when I say everywhere, I'm talking about everywhere. People are given responsibility without capacity, while others have capacity but are never empowered. Some leaders hold authority without accountability. That's so great right now. When responsibility outpaces capacity, burnout is guaranteed. When authority outpaces accountability, abuse is inevitable. Let me fix my mic. I gotta get over. I'm gonna talk good today. Testing. This doesn't mean bitterness is at hand. It's just basic leadership math. That's all it is. And just because someone can perform under pressure doesn't mean they're built to carry long-term weight. On the contrary, just because someone is available doesn't mean they're capable. And just because someone has access doesn't mean they should be making decisions. Now, something I struggled with a great deal in 2025 that came to my attention that I had to learn how to navigate through was having that invisible burden of being the reliable one. See, this is a trap that many leaders fall into. The reliable one always gets more responsibility. The capable one keeps getting stretched, and the consistent one keeps getting leaned on. Not necessarily because they're empowered, but because they don't complain. They don't complain. And see, sometimes responsibility at some point has to stop being an honor and start becoming an unspoken expectation. That can be murky waters. You have to get to the point that if you never define capacity, people will assume it's unlimited. And that can be unfortunate because that's just not leadership. It's exploitation disguised as trust. And that's a hard truth for not just leaders, but followers as well. When it comes to, again, capacity, ability, accountability, responsibility. We have to get to a point as leaders that we stop being about being needed and start being about being honest. Not every assignment is alignment. Not every opportunity is permission, and not every open door is yours to walk through. Sometimes the most mature leadership is saying that, watch this, I can do this, but I shouldn't. I'm capable, but at the same token, I'm not responsible for this. I'm gifted, but this isn't mine to carry. And some of y'all gonna be thinking, oh, that's weak. Well, that's really not weak. What that is discernment. Discernment. And that's something that I really had to navigate through a great deal last year. And I'm sure people that are listening now are navigating through it. You have navigated through it, or you're navigating through it now as well. And see, with that, having that understanding, what it can do is it can cause you to really understand that, accountability flows up, not just down. Real leadership, listen to me, real leadership doesn't just delegate responsibility downward. No, it doesn't. It absorbs accountability upward. Why? Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible for all of this. That's good right there, y'all. Yeah. We have too many people in society always blaming. Want the credit, but you don't have nothing to do with if anything is out of order. If you're leading people, don't just ask, can you handle this? Can you do this for me? You have to ask them, am I accountable for what I'm assigning? If I put this person over this particular situation, am I accountable for that? Or am I going to be diplomatic? Am I going to run away from it? Because see, responsibility without covering really creates frustration. And I'm trying to help some people create a release valve so they can be like, you know what? I ain't crazy. No, you ain't crazy. Just got to have somebody have enough courage to talk about these things. I don't mind. I will. Responsibility without covering creates frustration, and authority without ownership creates distrust. Healthy leaders don't just assign tasks. They carry consequences. This is real good. Ultimately, in me sharing all of this is really to push us, even myself, to create somewhat of a personal reset for the year 2026. We're in January. We got time. And even if you just happen to stumble across this at a later time than this year, you still can do a reset. So I'll say this and move on. 2026 for me is about aligned responsibility, not forced loyalty. Capacity will no longer be exploited, and ability will no longer be hidden. Responsibility will finally match both, not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity. Because true growth doesn't just require vision, it requires boundaries. And it's a lot of things I've had to learn coming from this year alone, or this past year, if you will, 2025. It wasn't that the year was so just tough. It was just in itself. It was really tough because a lot of things that I had been through before, I didn't think I would have to be going through again at the level of intensity that I had gone through it with. But what it did was it really taught me the things I needed to know. And that's why sometimes when I see people who like to or bored and hurry and run out of process, you'd be surprised at so many things that you're forfeiting as a leader and as somebody who is trying to build something better for themselves. One of my main mantras in life I've shared before is that in order to instruct, one must construct. How we build our life, how we build ourselves internally, externally, that matters. And I had a lot of painful lessons I had to learn last year. And I'm getting a lot of revelation and clarity and understanding as a result. That's why there's no anger or bitterness. It's clarity. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because there's a lot of stuff that goes on and that has gone on that's just unresolved. And I'm seeing it all over the place. I'm not just talking about it in my life. But real leaders find clarity and get understanding. We just have such a reactive society right now that everything is about the majority, what they feel. Nobody's really exercising principle and wisdom. Here's the takeaway from tonight's episode. Capacity reveals responsibility, but it's leadership that reveals who actually carries it. So if you're feeling stretched, exhausted, and resentful, don't just ask, what am I doing? Ask, what am I carrying that was never meant to be mine? And if you're leading others, ask yourself, am I assigning responsibility or am I avoiding accountability? Because true leadership isn't proven by how much you can handle. It's proven by how wisely you distribute weight. And y'all, this is the MySpace Effect. Be sure to check me out on Apple Podcast, Spotify. Your boy's on that now. YouTube, you feel me? Check me out on them different platforms. Be sure to support. Be sure to hit me a like, a follow, a share, subscribe. Support the podcast. We're going to do some great things this year. We're going to build differently in 2026. So until next time, y'all take it easy. Peace.
If this added value, share it. If it challenged you, sit with it. And remember, the assignment is you.